All right, look, you small business owners don't know where or how to go and get your next client in the event that you need it. Last year inside of my small business, I made $1.2 million with a simple system to market and sell to my potential clients, all without needing a ton of my time or my constant input into that system either. So today's episode, I'm going to walk you through those two systems that work within my marketing and my sales aspects of my business. And I'm going to show you how it doesn't take my constant input to get in front of people and sign them as paying clients. I want to show you this system so that you can go and do this too in your small business, so that you can go and take a vacation and take some time off and your business continues to grow without you, because that's the ultimate goal, right? Now, if this is interesting to you and you want the full blueprint, the full roadmap, if you just click down below in the link description there is a link for a 5-part mini-series on this exact roadmap. You'll get the full laydown. It'll take 10 minutes of your time to go through it. And that's the ultimate blueprint of what we're going to go through today. All right, let's hop in. Now, I am a talker in a jar, so we're going to do this like so. There are 4 parts that we're going to cover today. We're going to look at how we create audience on the beginning part of our marketing system. We're going to talk about how we continuously get in front of them, because most people, when they first see us, aren't ready to buy from us. We're going to talk about how we build trust, how we speed up the time in between when they first find us and when they become paying clients. And then I'm going to show you how I sign clients without needing to be involved in the process from start to finish. And that ultimately is the goal that I wanted for my perfect day, because to be quite honest, sitting in sales calls, not my dream job. And sales calls might work for your business, and that's cool. We have lots of clients inside of the CEO Clubhouse who run sales calls, and it works for them too. This is my process. This is how I put $1.2 million of cash in my bank last year. I'm just going to walk you through that process. Okay. So let's start off first. The first aspect of our selling system is divided into 2 particular aspects: our short form content on the organic side of our marketing flywheel, and then there are ads. So basically our organic content and our paid content. These are 2 levers that we can directly impact. And yet, as business owners, we usually are only focusing on one of them, and we're doing a shitty job at it. Let's just be honest. Now, it's not enough to just throw stuff up whenever you want. And it's not enough to put it up randomly. It's not enough to have no direction or strategy behind what you're doing. Social media requires some actual steps behind what you do, what you say, who you're talking to, and how you get them to actually take the next step to work with you. Now, the biggest problem that I see with business owners when they come into my world is we put up social media in the understanding that I get my green check mark for the day, and that's it. That should automatically mean that more people are going to come towards me. But when we're waiting, we know that that just doesn't happen, right? So inside of my CEO Clubhouse, and me personally, I use a system called the 4S social system. This is a process that helps me have a Monday to Friday outline to know who I'm talking to know what I'm saying, and most importantly, how I'm going to invite people to work with me. And ultimately, that is the end goal, because that's what helps me take control of somebody watching my stuff or looking or scrolling through my social media passively, and helping them become a paying client without it always feeling super salesy. So this is kind of step 1, is understanding you need a strategy behind the organic content that you're putting out there. I have this down to a system so that I don't need to play the algorithm game. I don't need to be producing content that feels super hard, has a ton of friction associated with it, takes a ton of time. All right. I just tell stories. I tell stories about what I'm doing. I tell stories about what my clients are doing. I tell stories of lessons I've learned along the way. I tell stories through topics that are important to my target market, and I teach lessons through those stories. Now, we break that down into a Monday to Friday sequence, and we always invite people to take the next step and say, instead of always saying, hey, if you want to work with me, click this link and book a call, which, is necessary sometimes, but has kind of ran its course. So when we look at what's happening at the very beginning, social media is something as a business owner, you are responsible for and need to take account for. And to make that easier, just to have a Monday to Friday sequence in order to do that. I call that my 4S social system. On the flip side is the more controllable aspect of ads. And now when I talk to small business owners in the very beginning, they usually are hesitant towards ads or they've had a bad experience with ads. And that's just because we don't know how to properly set them up in order to basically pull the slot machine levers, except it's not like being in the casino where the outcome is up to chance. Ads are pretty awesome. You can control all of the outcomes. And so we put $1 in, we get $4 back, and it just makes sense to keep pulling that lever, especially as you are working on your strategy and building what is happening on the back end organic. And so we do this inside our CEO Clubhouse with something called the 100 lead game. The goal of this strategy is to get ourselves to 100 inbound cold leads, or just basically 100 new people into our ecosystem within the first 30 days. And now we've had many clients who have ran this structure and this strategy, and they're picking up 100 leads in 24 hours or within the week. Never mind 30 days. And that's the great thing about ads, is that it is controllable. And so when we look at what's happening on the front end of our marketing flywheel, these are the two aspects that we need to take account for. And we dial that back by having two very simple strategies: our 4S social system and our 100 lead game. Okay. Now, there is a particular trigger that happens from here. And the next step, because ultimately, we want to get in front of these people so that we can be talking to them more. When new people come into your world, they don't necessarily know who you are or anything about you. So it's very unlikely that on first occurrence are they going to buy from you, especially if what you sell is of high ticket in nature. Okay. Obviously, working inside the CEO Clubhouse is not cheap. And because of that, when people first come into my ecosystem, I know that they're most likely not going to buy. Okay. And equally so, I want them to learn more about me, more about the CEO Clubhouse. I want them to have that exposure to really figure out that the ethos and the culture and the program and the teachings and the methods all align for what it is that they're looking for. Okay. Now, we can't just say, hey, hand over your email. There are some triggers that need to happen in between. And so in the middle, we go about getting email addresses through something called lead magnets. And that just means, hey, I have this thing. It does this. If you want it, comment keyword, and I'll give it to you in exchange for your email address. I'm just going to send it to your email. Most times because whatever it is that I'm sending is far too big, like if it's a PDF or a file or whatever, we just want to be able to put it in a particular place, like a Google Drive link or whatever, for those people to continuously access past the initial giving of that thing. So we call these lead magnets. And in my world, I have 4 of them, 4 main ones that I rotate. The very first one is is just a simple freebie. And that freebie is designed to solve a very minuscule problem that my audience has right then and there. So some of my best performing lead magnets are just scripts or templates, things that they can copy and paste and send to their audience. So, here are my 5 hand raisers to get your audience to raise their hands that they want to work with you. Any type of freebie, that's awesome. And we rotate keywords through those, depending on what it is that we're doing. The next thing is I have a free community group. And inside of this group is where I'm going a little bit deeper on some topics. I'm also in there. I'm answering questions. And so I have a particular keyword for that, and that is CEO. And so when I put up my social media or whatever it might be, they comment CEO and they get sent the link to join our free community group, where there's a little, we have a classroom tab and there's all kinds of teachings in there. It's just a little bit of like more thorough education for those that want to go a little bit deeper. The next thing is we have our roadmap. And this is my entire breakdown of essentially what I'm going through today, but in much greater detail. And so if you want to build your business to consistent 30K months, working 3 days a week, 90 minutes a day, you can comment on anything roadmap and it will send you to that 5-part miniseries. In fact, if you just click down below, it will take you to that 5-part miniseries, which is awesome. That is there to lay the blueprint. And the last thing is when anybody DMs me 99 on Instagram, that is a direct indication that somebody is ready to work with me or they are of very high interest. And so with these 4 lead magnets, I know that I am going to get an email in exchange, which is ultimately the end goal, because now I can continue to let them get to know me, let them like me a little bit more, and really truly find out if my ecosystem is the right place for them. So we call these triggers. These are the things that happen in order to take us to the next step. Now, once I get into the email system, I have a process called the email ATM. And just like it sounds, you send emails, and in return, you print cash. It truly is, I don't want to say easy, but I have been sending a daily email for the better part of 7 years between both businesses that I've owned. Writing comes easy to me. It's a very natural process. And I love just sitting down on my computer in the morning and typing up a quick email to my audience. It's probably my favorite thing to do. But because of that, this is how the majority of the new clients into the CEO Clubhouse, this is where they come from. They come from my email. And one of the easiest ways to help people learn more about you and understand you more and understand the world that you have is long form. And so I use my email to send people to my YouTube channel where I can sit here and blab on about a particular topic. I can show you my little models and draw and talk and yap, and that works. Okay. And so combining our 4S social system, but in email format with something we call brand width, okay? And I'll use this term. This is something that one of my past mentors, Sharon Serviza, used. Brand width of just helping people get stuck in your web so that they binge your content. The more content that they binge, the faster you're going to speed up the time to buy. So I'll just draw this. I call this the buy line, okay? You have all these people that exist up here. These are basically all your cold leads that enter into your world. And the more content that they digest, the quicker they get to what we call the buy line. And the second that they can cross that buy line, that's when we know that somebody knows you, likes you, and trusts you, and knows that they fit within your ecosystem, that what you're doing and the methods you're doing them by, that's exactly the problems that they have and the solutions that they need. But the whole idea is to speed up the trust time it takes to take somebody from the very top to their byline. Now, I did a whole video about this. If you scroll down in the channel, you'll see how I created $47,000 in a day. And that whole process was just built around speeding up the time of moving people from being cold leads towards crossing the byline. You can just scroll through my YouTube channel and you'll find that video. All right. So when we come back to this, that is the purpose of pushing people to our long form, is to help speed up our trust time, how long it takes somebody to understand that we are the person to solve their problems. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, when somebody realizes that I am the person for them, they move through the next trigger, and that trigger is what we call 99. Now, I mentioned it earlier as one of the lead magnet formats, but after getting a bunch of emails, after watching a bunch of my videos, they have heard 99 several times. And so that takes them to Instagram. They find me, they DM me 99, and then they're taken through the basically what is the qualification process and the selling process, just to understand if we are the right fit for one another. Okay. And so the main trigger the main last step of this process is going through what I call an offer document. And all that document is walking through, this is exactly what the CEO Clubhouse does. Here's all the methods that we tackle. Here's the systems we're going to install. Here's how we take you from $8,000 to $10,000 months to consistent $30,000 months, working 3 days a week, 90 minutes a day, and all the processes that surround that so that you can have the freedom of money, time, and mental space. I'll give you some examples of some of our clients who are, hooting and hollering about their successes. And if it's the right fit, the application link is on there. And that process gets the person to move through our sales process without needing me in the mix. I don't get brought into this process until the application comes through, where I personally review every single application that gets done, because I do want to make sure that the people who are coming into the CEO Clubhouse are the right fit. So you can imagine that really in this process, okay, this is an input that I have to do. Ads are a one-time input, so I'm not going to really use that one. This is a daily process that I do. This is a weekly process that I do. And then the selling process happens automatic. So in terms of input, and especially using our 4S social system, things are super easy to stay on top of and plan and understand the topics and the angles that I'm coming from. Email, simple process of replicating, okay? And really, my biggest time consumption is just putting up this long form piece of content. And honestly, the more reps you do, the easier it gets, okay? Now, this system, when I draw it out, let me come back to this. It's got 4 pieces, essentially. short form, ads, to emails, to long form, to offer doc. The last piece that happens is these people become social proof because they're happy paying clients who are getting results. And then that just starts to feed the system all over again. We use their social proof in storylines, in ads, in all of the parts that happen in the very first piece of the flywheel. And that just starts to spin the flywheel through the rest of it. That's the best part, that as long as we can keep people moving through the flywheel and we can keep producing great results for our clients, which we do, that's the ultimate point of what it is that we're doing, we will continuously get that social proof. And then that social proof just funnels back into the short form and the ads. Using this system, this is exactly how I use my marketing and my sales system to put $1.2 million into my business last year. That didn't require a ton of my time or me being the consistent nucleus of it. If you can replicate this system, if you can replicate the different pieces, 4S social system, the email ATM, our brand with concept, then this can happen for your small business too. Now, if you want the whole roadmap, like I mentioned, this is only actually in our greater scheme of things. This is only a very minuscule part of the process. But if you want the full roadmap, just click the link below and I'll take you to video 1 of my 5-part mini series on how to build your small business to consistent 30K months, working 3 days a week, 90 minutes a day, all so that you can get the freedom of your money, time, and mental space. Now listen, if this was beneficial for you, give me a little sub, click the bell in the top right-hand corner. Make sure you keep coming back because I try to put out a video every week, just walking through some of the things that I'm working on or some of the things that my clients are working on. And at the end of the day, if we get 1% smarter at the end of the day, or we can add 1% more into our business or get 1% better at the end of the day, then that is the whole point. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll get you on the next one.